I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 10, the Anglo-Saxons part 3, that is on page 13, 14 and 15, while doing morning stretching. Participating in the physical exercises is at your own risk, and I'm using this just under fair use for educational purposes. So, the Anglo-Saxons were not Christians. The Anglo-Saxons were part of the Saxons, and the Jutes who came after the Romans had left in 410 to Britain. And they had established kingdoms mainly in England, in today England, around 600 BC. And now the Anglo-Saxons were not Christians, and the people living in Great Britain, so in Britain in the 3rd and 4th century, Christian communities had appeared, but the Anglo-Saxons were not Christians when they first came to Britain. But during this period, missionaries came to Britain to preach about Christianity. So from somewhere, missionaries came, so people who were talking about the Bible and Christianity and tried to teach people these things which are happening in the Bible. Missionaries from Ireland spread the religion in the north, came to Britain, in the north of Britain. So from Ireland came people and they were spreading the religion of Christianity in the north of Britain. The most famous of these was St. Patrick. So St. Patrick was a missionary from Ireland who had spread the religion of Christianity in the north of Britain. St. Patrick, who would become the patron saint of Ireland, patron saint of Ireland. So St. Patrick is the patriot of Ireland. If he came from Ireland, why is he then the patron of Ireland and not of the region where he had spread Christianity? Would it not make more sense that the people who had received Christianity and are thankful for it, which is the logical conclusion, if I make them the patron for being a missionary, and not the people of the north of Britain would make them their patron saint and not Ireland? But maybe the people... He came from Ireland and he is the patron saint of Ireland, even though he seemed to have done his work in the north of Britain. And St. Columba. The most famous of these was St. Patrick, who would become the patron saint of Ireland, and St. Columba. So St. Columba was also a missionary from Ireland who had spread the religion of Christianity in the north of Britain. So St. Patrick and St. Columba are missionaries who, now real date here, around the year, let's say 800, I don't have a number here, were spreading Christianity in the north of Britain. St. Patrick and St. Columba. And St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland. And St. Columba, who founded a monastery on the island of Iona, that in Norway. Now to the morning stretching. We're having our legs standing wide apart. We're breathing in and coming down. And breathe out. And breathe in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out. And breathing in and closing the legs. And we have done the opening exercise of the morning stretching, and we can start with the actual morning stretching, by which we are always breathing in through the nose, deep into the chest and out through the mouth. So breathe in through the nose, into the chest and out through the mouth. Let's go on with the next two exercises. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and going to the side. And breathe in and open the rib cage. And out. And again in. And out back into the middle. And breathe in. And out, and we're going over to the side. And breathe in and open the rib cage. And out. And again in. And out back into the middle. And the second exercise, we are having same position with the legs. We're breathing in. And out, and one hand slides down the leg and the other shoulder stays down. And breathe in. And out, and we're taking one arm over. And breathe in, open ribcage again. And out. And again in. And out over to the middle. You're breathing in. And out, one hand slides again down the leg and the upper shoulder stays down. We're breathing in. And out, and we're taking again the arm over. We're breathing in and opening the ribcage. And out. And again in. And out back into the middle. So the angle of Saxons, pardon me for a moment. The angle of Saxons are carrying a bit. We're coming as the Anglo-Saxon youths after Rome had left in 410, and they were not Christians, and there were missionaries coming to Britain and preaching Christianity, and two missionaries were coming from Ireland, for example, St. Patrick and St. Columba. St. Patrick is today the patron saint of Ireland, and also St. Columba was also a missionary, but he's not the patron saint of Ireland. Who founded a monastery on the island of Iona? So St. Columba founded a monastery on the island of Iona. So Iona must be an island somewhere in the region of Britain somewhere, I guess. And he founded a monastery. I don't know what exactly that is, but that is a house where people can live who are very devout to Christianity, basically. He founded a monastery on the island of Iona off the coast of what is now Scotland. So Scotland, it's by Britain. So we're having off the coast of Britain, we're having already two islands. So we can see here that here is Scotland and there are a bunch of islands. And we know already two islands. Orkney, there is Scarborough, the best preserved prehistoric village of a Stone Age of Northern Europe, Scarborough. And a second island beside of Orkney, which we know north of Scotland, is Iona. And on Iona, there's a monastery which was founded by Saint Columba, who was a missionary coming from Ireland, spreading Christianity in the north of Britain. Another missionary from Ireland is Saint Patrick, and Saint Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland. Saint Augustine led missionaries from Rome who spread Christianity in the south. So I said something about missionaries coming from Europe, and we're having here something about missionaries actually coming from Rome. Rome is in Italy, so it would be Europe. But let's go on with the next exercise. Having feet standing together, breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out, one hand comes down. Now we're breathing in and reaching to both ends. And out. And again in. And out, and one hand comes down. And breathe in and reach. And out. Again in. And out, hand comes down. And breathe in and reach. And out. And again in. And out. And breathe in. And out. Now we don't have so much time left to go on with the next exercise. We're next standing wide apart. We're breathing in. And we're hanging down, and we're just helping you come deeper down by breathing deep in through the nose into the chest. And by breathing out slowly through the mouth. And again in. And out. And again in. And out. Again in. And out we go onto one leg. And breathe again in. And out. And again in. And out over to the other leg. And again in. And out. out, back into the middle. We're breathing deep in. And out, we're coming up slowly with a round back and making at the top a backwards shoulder roll. And we're making the similar exercise. The feet are staying together. We're breathing in. And out, we're hanging again down. And breathe in. And out. And again in. And out. And again. And out, we're coming slowly up with a round back, sticking one vertebra of the spine on top of each other, making it backwards shoulder roll. Well, the camera is listening. Okay, there is, what was the last thing? So, 2 missionaries, for example, came from Ireland. There came missionaries to Britain. 2 of them were from Ireland. St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, and St. Columba, who founded a monastery on Iona, an island north of Scotland. And there were also St. Augustine, who led missionaries from Rome. I guess St. Augustine was also coming from Rome. Let's say St. Augustine led missionaries from Rome, who spread Christianity in the south. So in the north, it was spread by missionaries coming to Britain. 2 of them were St. Patrick and St. Columba. And it makes sense that they were spreading in the north if St. Columba was founding a monastery north of Scotland, so in the north. And okay, so we're referring actually with the north as coming from Ireland to the north is Scotland. St. Augustine were coming with missionaries from Rome, and were spreading Christianity in the south. St. Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury. Canterbury is important, but we'll come to it later. See page 67, so on page 68 we're going to have more to St. Patrick, and on 67 more for the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Church in Britain today. St. Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury. See page 67 for more about the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Church in Britain today. So we're going to learn more about the Church in Britain today and the Archbishop of Canterbury. The toes are pointing to the outside. We're having an underlined space between our heels, breathing in and lifting our arms up. And we're going down into the garland pose. We're placing the elbows against the inside of the knees. We're breathing in and straightening up the back. And we're breathing out and we're coming with the back up. We're breathing in. And out. Back into the garland pose. We're breathing in. And out. Back into the garland pose. And we're breathing in. And out last time into the garland pose. We're breathing in. And now out, and we're coming slowly up in one straight line. And we're doing the last exercise. The seahorse pose, we're placing one leg with the heel over the knee of a standing leg. Do this only if you can do it without injuring yourself. We're breathing in. And we are breathing out, and we are sinking down. So, we have the Anglo Saxons, and the Romans left in 410. To defend other parts of Britain. The Romans had come in 43 under the Emperor Claudius. And the Utes, the Angles and the Saxons came. They spoke a language on which the modern day English is based off. Battles were fought against them, but in 600 kingdoms were established. Now we're changing the leg. Mainly in England were these kingdoms established. They had a burial site. The burial place of one of the kings is at Sutton Hoo, which is in today's Suffolk. He was buried with treasure and armor in a ship with a mound of earth. But not all of Britain was conquered by the Anglo-Saxons or the Utes or something like that. It's not written what happens exactly to every one of them. Much of Wales and Scotland remained unconquered. And we're done with the seahorse pose, so we're doing the last exercise. We're just breathing in. And out. And the Anglo-Saxons were not Christian. They were coming missionaries to Britain and preaching Christianity. In the north, it were from Ireland, for example, St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, and St. Columba, who founded a monastery on Iona, an island north of Scotland. appearing in. St. Augustine led missionaries from Rome, spreading Christianity in the south of Britain. And St. Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury. And we're going to learn more to the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Church in Britain today on page 67. I thank you very much, and until next time.